Hello and welcome to the fourth day of MSP-TV here at the second meeting of states parties to the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. We're more than halfway through the week. We're soon going to have two amazing guests, Richard Lennane and Hinaemoura Cross. But first, I'll give you some short updates from what happened yesterday. In the evening, we had the premiere of the film Shades of Disarmament. The Philip Glass Ensemble played to Koyaanisqatsi. I'm sorry, I have a bit trouble with pronouncing that word. We heard powerful statements from civil society in the Trusteeship Council. We also heard inspiring statements from states parties that really want to push the agenda forward and that demand more action, also from parties outside the treaty. Even though we are more than halfway, we still have 2 packed days left. In the plenary session in the Trusteeship Council, we'll have discussions and debates on victim assistance and environmental remediation. They will talk about national implementation measures, about the elimination of nuclear weapons. We will have the last negotiations and adoption of a final declaration, and much more. I'm very happy that the discussion here in the UN has been centered around affected communities. That is the core part of the treaty. And because of that, I'm also very honored to welcome Hinaemoura Cross. Hello, thank you so much for being with us. Hina is a survivor. And she has used her experience and knowledge for how horrible the impacts of nuclear weapons can be to really push France to take responsibility for their nuclear tests in the South Pacific. She's a member of parliament in Tahiti, and she's a winner of the Nuclear Free Future Award 2003. Congratulations. Being a survivor and knowing firsthand what impacts nuclear weapons can have on human beings, what's your impressions from the meeting?
I'm so grateful from ICANN who invited me at the first state parties, and also this year. It just pushed me to work harder, and it is such a great opportunity for my community to be part of all this organization. And I met so much beautiful soul for other affected communities, and it really makes me understand more the impacts of the nuclear weapons, because in my country we were not aware of all the consequences of the 193. So I learned so much since I'm part of ICANN, and since I was able to share our story with all the affected communities.
And as a campaigner, I'm very grateful you're here and actually sharing your stories. That really makes this treaty, I think. Today, the states parties are discussing the victim assistance and environmental remediation and international cooperation, Article 6 and 7 of the treaty. What's your hopes and expectations from what's coming out of this?
I really hope that from today to the first state parties, we will be able to apply some stuff of the Article 6 and 7. It's really urgent. Like in my community, it's very hard for us because we have 20 years 20 years behind for the treatment of cancer. Sorry, it's not really right, but I think you understand. And some people that are lucky, they can be like treated in France, but most of them, we just have the hospital that can't treat properly all the people. So it's really urgent for us to have the victim assistance. We also ask friends to help them, but they did not do yet. Sorry. So and it's today all the cost of the disease is supported by our society. We have a healthcare system that all the Maori workers pay by social cotization. That I want to denounce the fact that after poisoning us for decades, after using us as guinea pig, France let us paid all the cost of all the disease, and it's really something that I want to say to all the state parties and to all the international community.
It's a strong message to France there, and also it shows the importance of these articles in the treaty. Today you're going to deliver a statement. Do you want to share a bit about that?
I'm really proud to deliver the statement of ICANN, of who I'm so thankful and grateful to be part of this organization. And I'm going to talk about my community, of course, what happened to us, but also thanks all the state parties and the observer state that are working in this during this state parties meeting. And I'm grateful for how they put the affected community in center of this treaty. We are very, very thankful to. It's the first time that we are really heard by such a big international community. So it's great for us, and it's great for us also to build a network, because we are from many countries in the whole world. We have not the same history, but we all have been the victim of nuclear bombs. And today we are sharing the same sad impacts, the same sad consequences on us, on our children, and belong.
Thank you so much, Hina. I think we are the ones that should be grateful for you sharing your story. If you want to listen to Hina's statement, you can do it on the UN Web TV, but you can also find it later on ICANN's webpage. Thank you so much. We also have another guest with us. He's known by quite some of you in ICANN, Richard Lennane. Thank you for being here. Now you're a policy advisor on nuclear weapons in ICRC. As many knows, like the important role ICRC plays in these kind of treaties. But when I entered the movement, I didn't know that much. What's actually the role of ICRC?
Well, ICRC in general works on what we call international humanitarian law, which is the laws that control the conduct of warfare and ensures that civilians are protected and so on. And so, among other things, we work to try to prohibit and eliminate weapons that really can't be used in compliance with that are by their nature indiscriminate or cause unnecessary suffering. So, of course, nuclear weapons falls very much into that category. And just as we've worked with governments and others and civil society to ban anti-personnel landmines and cluster munitions, now we're very pleased to have helped create the TPNW and work to prohibit and eliminate nuclear weapons.
You worked on this topic for many years, and this week you spoke to the state parties. What was your message?
My message, which is the same as the message delivered by the president of the ICRC in the high-level segment at the beginning of the week, is that we really need to work all together to shape the narrative about nuclear weapons and to put the questions of humanity at the center of the discussion. Do you want me to hold that?
Maybe.
Yeah. And there's three ways we need to work to do that. One is we need to very squarely focus on the humanitarian consequences of nuclear weapons, and we've heard from Hine about just how important that is. Second is we need to work against this idea that's out there that nuclear weapons are somehow exceptional and that the international law and international humanitarian law don't apply to them. Because we hear from governments that they talk about nuclear weapons and nuclear deterrence as if it's okay to cause such immense destruction and indiscriminate harm to civilians. And they wouldn't consider that for other weapons. So we need to work to end this kind of nuclear exception. And the third way we want to shape the narrative is to take a really hard look in detail at the whole concept of nuclear deterrence through a humanitarian lens. I mean, what does it actually mean to rely on having the capability and willingness to unleash such colossal and horrible destruction in the interests of security. And we need to really put that at the center of the discussion. Say, what does it actually mean to threaten to use a nuclear weapon, and to take on the idea of deterrence in that way. Because recently, with the war in Ukraine and the sort of increasing nuclear rhetoric, this idea is having something of a resurgence, this whole concept of nuclear deterrence. And we'd really like to sort of try and bring the story back to humanity and the humanitarian consequences.
Thank you for doing that. This week is about also the states parties. Now they are the ones that are really pushing the agenda forward, are really doing something with nuclear weapons and the threat these weapons poses for our survival. But as I come from a state that are not yet a member, hopefully one day they will be. They are observing. What's your message to people like me, trying to push their country to actually join the treaty?
I think the message, first of all, it's good that there are countries like your countries who have not yet joined the treaty, but they're here at this meeting observing. And I think that's already a very good step. And certainly Norway and others should be encouraged for that engagement. And we should really seek to continue that dialogue because really we're all on the same side, whether it's Norway or Germany or Japan or Australia. They agree that nuclear weapons should be eliminated. We just have some differences of opinion about how to go about that. But again, I think the message to them is very much the same, that really focusing the narrative on the humanitarian consequences, because I think the people in these countries, they should be and are often horrified by the thought that their defense is predicated on the ability to cause catastrophic humanitarian harm and kill hundreds of thousands or millions of people. So I think it's a matter of getting that message out there, talking to governments, of course, but also to ordinary people, to the voters, and getting them to understand, what exactly is at stake here and pushing their governments to act. I'm confident that we'll see Norway and others joining the TPNW sooner than most people expect, because I think the humanitarian and the moral case is just so compelling.
Thank you so much, Richard. That's a positive note to end this interview. A small tips from me is to actually go to ICANN's website for the ban week before the last meeting of state parties, the first meeting of states parties. There's an excellent presentation from Richard Lennane that I've used a lot in my work in Norway, really showing the flaws of deterrence, nuclear deterrence. The day is still young here in the UN. The debates in the Trusteeship Council will continue. There will be a lot of side events. Kazakhstan's new generation will look at nuclear politics. We will have an event connecting the dots between climate and nuclear weapons, with live updates from COP. We will have an event showing that the prevention is the only cure, with health organizations coming together. And at the same time, there will be a nuclear survivors forum, where nuclear survivors come together and discuss and debate for the future what they can do to bring this treaty forward. Follow MSP-TV. Tune in at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to get the latest updates from the second meeting of states parties to the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons.